Sunday morning quarterback is easy, but in retrospect, was the release of the 911 tape an error, or did you have an obligation to do it?
We in the police department, we had an obligation to do it. Under city and state law, when there's a request for this type of information, we have 10 days to turn it over. The request was reviewed by the city attorney's office. We discussed with them that request and probably 2 or 3 dozen others. There was contact made by our investigators with the district attorney's office, and then we were advised to follow the advice of the city attorney in the release of that data, and we released it. We did have some concerns about whether it would appear to be inflammatory or taking one side over the other, but you have to understand in the city of Los Angeles and California, the law enforcement agencies must and should follow the law.
Let's take some calls for Chief Willie Williams of Los Angeles on this special live edition of Larry King Weekend. Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Hello.
Hi, Larry.
Hi.
Hi, Chief Williams.
Hello.
I'm wondering, does the chief anticipate any investigation of any kind based on the testimony of the detectives, especially since Detective Furman was involved in the '85 response to the Simpson home?
Yeah, any connection there, Chief?
Well, I don't know that there's any connection there. You know, as a police officer, quite often you have occasion to respond to the same caller's home, whether as a victim of a crime or as a perpetrator or someone seeking assistance, quite a lot. And the fact that a detective was there in the 1980s and the 1990s really is coincidental, and I don't see anything special, unusual about that to this date.
Concerning that, Chief, there's a lot of talk in America and worldwide about domestic violence. Have the police approach to the call, to a 911 call, changed since this incident?
To this specific call, no. To 911 calls for domestic violence, we haven't.
If you get a 911 call right now, and a woman calls and there's someone threatening her, the procedure's the same as it was 4 years ago?
Oh, no. Our procedures in Los Angeles and most large departments have changed dramatically over the last 4 or 5 years. Our officers, from the patrol officers to the supervisors and the detectives, have been given specialized training. Here in Los Angeles, for example, we have just reorganized our detectives, that now we have the same detectives who are involved in child abuse, spousal abuse, sexual assaults. They all work together under the same supervisors, because depending on the call, any of those individual types of cases can lead to another. We take special interest, and we certainly try to investigate and prosecute. Many states, particularly California and Pennsylvania now, as opposed to 4 or 5 years ago, you can bring an individual in who is a suspect without the officer having to seen what used to be a misdemeanor out of their sight. So things have changed dramatically in the last 4 or 5 years.
Are you in charge of the jail too, Chief?
No, we're not. The county jails are managed by the Sheriff's Department. We have interim jail facilities in our stations, but the day-to-day management is up to the county sheriff.
So what happens to O.J. in jail, what he can do, how much free time, calls he makes are not under your jurisdiction?
That's correct.
To Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hello.
Hello. I want to know the name of the person from the DA's office and the prosecuting attorney that advised you to release the 911 calls, because the law states if it interferes with the prosecution, it does not have to be released, and they know that.
Were those names released, Chief, as to who told you to release them?
Well, we know who the individuals are, but I think responsibility rests with the top of each organization, the same as it does with myself. No, the city attorney and the district attorney and I met afterwards to discuss that process, and the district attorney now says that he will fight any request for any type of release of information, even though the state law says you can do it. But each of us have to be guided and stand by the action of our individuals, unless we think it was wrong and we want to change it.
The buck stops here.
That's right.
Chicago, for Chief Willie Williams. Hello.
Hi, my name is Ann Hicks. I'm wondering, how difficult will it be to find a jury comprised of African Americans?